This is big news. We have to comment about it. We have to. This is huge. I think it's not as huge as a lot of people might think it is, and that's why I want to talk about it, because I've heard some really horror commentary on this, and I want to get your take on it, Dave, and see what you think, because I've seen some videos that I think people are interpreting this in really bizarre ways that don't make it. Here, let me get on my soapbox for 1 minute, okay? Just 1 minute, just to say, you have to be careful sometimes of hanging around people that only agree with you. That's why I want this show to be open to everyone. You are always welcome to comment on the show and disagree with us. We have to emphasize that, because if you don't, what happens is, what I'm seeing with a lot of other YouTubers and a lot of other people that are streaming, is they start to get into their own circle and they start to just say the same thing to each other, and then they start interpreting things in bizarre ways that don't make any sense. Okay? So with this announcement, this is a big announcement. There's no doubt about this. The Disney CEO, Bob Iger, steps down in surprise announcement. This is dated February 25th. This announcement came out yesterday. This is from Yahoo News for our listeners. That's our source here. Apparently, this is actually an AP article, because Yahoo News puts stuff together. So it says Disney CIO Bob Iger, who steered the company's absorption of Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel, and Fox's entertainment businesses, and the launch of a Netflix challenger, is stepping down immediately. The company said in a surprise announcement on Tuesday. The Walt Disney Company named as his replacement Bob Chapek. I hope I'm not butchering his name. Chapek, Chapek. Most recently, chairman of Disney's Parks, Experiences, and Products business. Quote here: "Did not see this coming." This is Woza tweeted from Lightshed Media. She's an analyst. It's a tweeted Lightshed Media analyst, Rich Greenfield. Sorry, wowza. I missed the quote. Did not see this coming. Wowza. That's from Rich Greenfield from Lightshed Media. It says Iger will remain executive chairman through the end of his contract on December 31st, 2021. Besides leaving the board, Iger said he will spend more time on Disney's creative endeavors, including the ESPN Sports Network, the newly acquired Fox Studios, and the Hulu and Disney Plus streaming services. He said he could not do that while running Disney on a day-to-day basis. This is a quote from Iger. "It was not accelerated for any particular reason other than I felt the need was now to make this change," Iger said on a conference call with reporters and analysts. So, with that said, Dave, what's your reaction to this story?
Well, I was actually going to cover this in a Streaming Wars segment. This was going to be my Streaming Wars edition, because he does mention that he is sort of taking a step back and going to focus on other things, such as Disney Plus, and the ESPN and whatever. So I was looking at this primarily from a Streaming Wars segment. Well, he is still going to be associated with Disney. He's just stepping down from the top position. I have heard a lot of crazy theories about what necessitated this. I'm not going to repeat those rumors, because as far as I could tell, they're just rumors. I don't think there's really any real facts behind it, some of the stuff I've heard. But no, I mean, if he wanted to go out now while he's on top, hey, good job. I mean, he's, led Disney to a very interesting place in the entertainment landscape. Disney right now owns and controls not only the Disney brands that they've had, created within the studio, but I mean, you look at the acquisition of Fox, you look at what's happening with obviously Marvel, and then Star Wars. I mean, that's an amazing legacy to have. So that's kind of my only reaction. I mean, he's still going to be associated with Disney and doing things for them. So it was a little stunning of a move. But if he, it's one of those things, he might feel like that, some of these different divisions need a stronger guiding hand. and maybe that's one of the reasons that he's taking this kind of step down, is to go over here and focus on building these other things. So that's my initial thought.
Dr. Strange, did you have any thoughts about this?
I don't know. This is quite a peculiar situation. It seems like he wanted to focus more on his projects that he has high, what's the word I'm looking for? Compassion for. That he's most compassionate about, instead of just focus on everything as a whole. He just wanted to have that little bit of micro focus.
Yeah, the things that are maybe a little closer to his heart, things that are more passionate about.
Yes,
I think that's a fair assessment. I want to say what I don't think this is this is not some sort of reckoning because of some perceived disaster with Star Wars. That's the kind of silly videos that I've been seeing, as people are like, "Oh, Star Wars underperformed. This is Bob Iger being fired." Bob Iger hasn't been fired. Okay, Bob Iger is still essentially in control. If you understand what happened, is that basically he's taken down his managerial duties in the day-to-day operation as the chief executive officer, but he's still the chairman of the board. And who does the CEO answer to? The board. Okay. So the point is that Bob Iger, I think, is setting up his legacy. He's basically making sure that the person that he wants is in charge. And he's also going to be evaluating this person and making sure that he's doing a good job. And he's going to be in a position as chairman of the board to basically get rid of this person if he doesn't work out and choose somebody else. So that's what I think this is. I think it's very clear this is what this is. I think the shock part of it has surprised me a little bit, because I was not shocked. Because I remember all the way back when we were doing coverage of Bob Iger's book, there was already talk that was Bob Iger signaling, "I'm leaving." You know, his contract is over in 2021 anyway. But by writing a book, and it was essentially a tell-all, he said some very controversial things about George Lucas in that book. I think he was setting himself up to say, I'm getting ready to leave. That's what people do. They write books when they're getting ready to leave. So I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to make an orderly transition. And I also think he's a smart businessman, and he is using the current sell-off that's happening in the stock market because of the coronavirus. He's using that as cover to exit right now, so it doesn't hurt the company that bad. That's my 2 cents. That's what I think is going on.
Now that is some astute observation right there. I had not even considered that, but I think that's got a lot to do with the timing. Because if, for example, I've been hearing some people I know speculate that maybe now's the time to pick up a few stocks while things are kind of down. I hadn't even thought about that.
I'm looking at that myself, actually, on eTrader. I'm looking at stocks because what's nice about eTrader is it gives you a 52-week window, so you can kind of see where the highs and lows are. And if it's like really low, if it's getting really low, past that 52-week window, that's probably some real bargain stock. That it will eventually go up. The market's all about timing. But the thing is, that's my assessment. I really think the people that are, I saw some like ding dong, the witch is dead kind of stuff, and I'm like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, he's still in charge. He's just not the manager anymore, but he still owns the store. I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about here. Bobby has a comment here. He said, the guy taking over, which, by the way, I do want to know more about the guy taking over. I am very interested, because this could be a new page for Disney, because usually when someone takes over, they want to set a tone. So we'll see how this works out. But Bobby says, the guy taking over used to be in charge of marketing. He is responsible for removing most of the interactive actors from Star Wars Land, Galaxy's Edge. Well, I'd be curious. Does anyone know much about that? Bobby, have you been to the park? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. big reveal for those people who don't know. I've never been to Disneyland or Disney World at all, so I've been to Universal on both sides of I've been to the one in Florida and I've been to the one in California, but I've never actually been to any of the Disney parks. So I have no knowledge about anything that's been going on besides some of the various reporting that's come out of Galaxy's Edge.
So here's Bobby's insight here. He says it's killing the immersion, which I could see that. So what we're talking about here are like at the other Disney parks, like Snow White will come up to you, right, and interact with you, which I really like because usually they're really pretty girls, you know. So I don't know the last time you were at Disneyland, but the girls that play Belle and Snow White and Cinderella, they're all very attractive. And so they'll come up and they come up to you in character, and it sounds like they're not doing that at Galaxy's Edge anymore, if I understand what Bobby's saying, which he says is killing the immersion.
Yeah. Well,
I can see that.
And I could see where it would affect it because one of the to take it back to Trek, one of my favorite things I had the opportunity to do a couple times was actually go do the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas. And the Star Trek experience, the thing that made it so great was after you get out of the motion simulator ride is when you go into Quark's bar and you have all the different characters that are there that you actually interact with. That's what made it really kind of amazing, and when we're on the simulator ride and you're walking down the halls of the Enterprise and everything, all the people in character and in uniform, that's what really makes that work. That's what really sells you on the idea that you're really there. You take that kind of stuff away from a park experience, and it doesn't just kill the immersion. I mean, in a weird way, to me, it kind of makes me question, well, then why would you go? If it's just about a ride, you could just go do a ride anywhere. You don't have to go, I mean, I know those rides are specifically there, but you see what I'm getting at. You could just do a motion simulator ride that's similar in a mall, or at State Fair.
No, I agree with you completely. My love of the Star Trek experience in Vegas was not the ride. The ride was okay. It was the immersion. It was the Ferengi at the bar acting like a Ferengi and serving me drinks, real drinks. It was the Klingon coming up to me and talking to me about how what's the big Klingon cuisine? What do they like to eat?
Well, there's Gok.
Gok.
Yeah.
He always told me that because they had a Gok on the menu, and he said the Gok is okay, but it's supposed to be served live. So those kinds of things, are what made it so much fun. So it'll be kind of interesting to see because that is a little bit troubling that was his decision. Bobby has another comment here. He says the actors were going to react differently depending on how well you did on the simulator. So they had great plans. So in other words, it sounds like they were going to tie in the actors to the ride directly, that's actually a great idea, I think, because that gives you a really unique experience, right? Once you have that human dimension in a live actor, that makes it a unique experience every time, just like a performance, like a live performance. It's always unique, even if it's the same play.
Speaking of this, I think it was a foolish idea to take the actors away because you can make so much. Because adding on to what you just said about having unique experiences, that would make people want to come back, and try to get different results each time. It's like playing a video game, with different stuff, like different outcomes. It's like you want to experience everything. And if they take away the interaction and the immersion, you're really just going there just to walk around and look at stuff when really all you need to do nowadays is just use, what do these people use nowadays? Virtual reality headsets. I mean, that's...
I have a virtual reality headset.
I do too. I play Beat Saber. I mean, what? Hugo Strange does not play Beat Saber.
Yeah. I think we're kind of all in a similar state of agreement that removing the actors definitely destroys the immersion and changes the experience into something that's not really what I go to a theme park for. If I'm going to Disney World, I'm going to Disneyland, I'm going to Universal, I'm going for a different kind of experience than I would get at Six Flags, or a state fair.
Welcome to Star Wars, the bland experience. This is the Karen chicken salad.
I have to say,
there you go.
Bobby Chambers, you kind of got me a little concerned. The new Bob may have some problems here, so we'll see. But again, I will reiterate that I think one of the reasons that Iger is doing this is because he's still in power and he can still influence. So if the new guy is bad, I think he won't have a problem throwing him out and finding somebody else.
Yep.